So I'm joined with Ian Benbow, who scored the winning goal in the 1990 Welsh Cup final. So Ian, that was my first season of watching Hereford. What was it like working under the manager, Ian Bowyer?
Ian Bowyer, what a challenging man. Unpredictable, I think, is the term. I think he knew what he wanted. Cloughie had sort of definitely put some markers through his ways of working, but sometimes you sort of didn't really know what was coming next. But I really enjoyed what I was doing.
The Welsh Cup campaign started with a 9-0 win over Connah's Quay. Were games like that good for your confidence in the early rounds?
It was for me because I said I was sort of early as part of that was early part of my career as such, coming through. So you see, Connah's Quay for me was a big game, but for the senior pros, it wasn't so big. So it helped me come through the team really, I think. And so playing at that level, winning 9-0. Just builds the confidence moving forward.
So there we go on and beat Kidderminster, Bangor and Cardiff. We face Wrexham in the final. What are your memories of the morning of the game?
Oh, the morning. I keep going back. The morning is near on impossible to recall because I keep going back to the goal when the goal went in, and I'm so disappointed because I keep looking back at it when people highlight it, and all I focus back on is how poor a shot it was. Everybody who wants to score a goal, in a cup final, wants it to go into the top corner. Everything else, mine bounced about 4 times, I think, if I remember rightly. So everything else has just gone because I just focus on the disappointment of it not being a wonder goal as such.
Do you remember the goal? Can you still see it? The knockdown from Russell Bradley.
I can see it across. I think it was from Paul Tester. Russell Bradley knocked it down, and I think when I caught it, when I look at it, I think, the shape looks good. But how the ball bounced into the back of the net, I said, doesn't do good for confidence.
What were the celebrations like though that night?
Celebrations. Yeah, I think when I've reflected back on the video that was there, I said after the goal and the celebrations, I looked absolutely shattered. But it was the best time of my life. I went back home. I went back home to Leominster, to all the people that I grew up with. And it was just fun. I just enjoyed it. Went back to the pub. Everybody that I knew were in the pub, and it was just amazing. It wasn't just about what it meant for Hereford. It meant all the people around, like Leominster and things like that, and it did provide some good community spirit.
So a few weeks later, Ian Bowyer left Hereford. How did you feel about his departure?
That was disappointing because I said I managed to develop a good relationship with Ian and. Again, when I said he was unpredictable, but he was also, I found him honest and sort of a driver, and I think I was learning a lot from Ian being involved. Just as disappointing he left, and in the manner it was Gary, his son, has gone on to do great things, and I think Ian at the time, if I remember rightly, an average age must have been about 19, 20 as part of a squad. Which, if it was kept together, would have potentially gone on and on to do good things.
So Colin Addison takes over. You end up going to Telford, who are in the Vauxhall Conference. What were the reasons behind you leaving?
I think as I've got older, I've got a little bit more diplomatic in life. It's just managers have different ways of working. Like I said, I think Colin has his ways of working. His views, I think, were more about experience, and as you look at the squad within 12 months, 2 years of Ian Bowyer going and Colin coming in, I think the squad had gone from an average age of 20 to 29, 30. And it works. And like I said, everybody has different ways. So I suppose pragmatically in life, you turn around and say, well, Colin chose the team he wanted, and I wasn't part of that at that time.
So in November '91, Telford beat Stoke 2-1 in the FA Cup. You scored both goals. That was a good night's work.
It was a good night's work, and I think that was a real good team effort. I think that was off the back of a draw as well, that we'd gone and that we had brought them back. And it was a good game, and I enjoyed it. It's just those things. Sometimes, like I said, while I enjoyed what I'd done with Telford, it's those elements I wish I'd have shared back home in Hereford and the people had done, because it was enjoyable. But like you said, it was away from home, and that's what I found a bit hard. It's nice to beat Stoke, especially I tell my children now, and they don't believe that I ever played football. So
So you left Telford, you end up with Merthyr, Newport, Yeovil, and a few other clubs. Was it a case of injury, or did you have a day job to focus on while your career ended?
No, I think I came to a conclusion in life that I wasn't going to become this high-level professional football player that's going to make loads of money. And I used to see players coming through the system. I was coming into Hereford, and you had the people like there was Gary, there was Mel Pedgick, and all those sort of players that were coming towards the end of their footballing careers, and then they were having to start thinking about what does the future hold for me. And it was just one of those things. I was young enough to think I need something else. And that was the real driver for me, is that I needed to find something that was stable, and I had passion. I think while I was at Hereford, we went out to some of the schools, and I enjoyed going to the schools and working with the youngsters in the schools, to a point where that's where I ended up when I come out of football. I focused on developing a career in that way, and that's where I've gone.
And about 8 months ago, you had a life-changing experience as well. Can you talk us through what happened there?
Yeah. It's about 2 years ago. I went to hospital. I had a pain in my foot, and I thought it was gout. And I went to the A&E, and they said, yeah, sit down. And they said, we'll check you over while you're here. And so they put all the wires on me, and they said, oh, are you all right? You're feeling great? And they thought I was having a heart attack, and it wasn't a heart attack. It was just I was diagnosed then straight after with a condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which in layman's terms was the sudden death syndrome, or people recognise as well linked to the Moamba case that when he collapsed on the pitch. So from there, I got referred on to a cardiologist who. Over the 12-month period, put a defibrillator implanted in my chest, and then it was literally 8 months or so after having that in, I collapsed at work and died, and the defibrillator kicked in and brought me straight back within 3 seconds. It was life-changing. It was life-changing, and I mean that in such ways because you start to appreciate life, and to a point where you don't worry about much in life, just enjoy what you've got.
So this was a hereditary condition as well?
It was a hereditary condition. And like I said, it was only now, like I said, that I've lived, up to 46, all the way through the training and pre-season and everything else that I've done as a pro football player. Some good and some bad. But like I said, not realising that I was walking that tightrope while I was playing, which some ways it was nice not to know. But now it's nice to know, because I said what's happening is that my children are being screened, so hopefully I can sort of put something in place that it might not happen to them.
So in 2015, what's Ian Benbow up to now?
My role now on my job is head of adult and family social regeneration in Merthyr Council. It's a challenge in times because it looks at all the issues of economic and social regeneration. Also focuses on supporting vulnerable adults and vulnerable children out in the community. So I've got a role or a ream of services, all of which we're trying to knit together to make sure that the people in Merthyr can improve the life that they have. I think Channel 4 have a great programme at the moment that talks about Merthyr, but it's just a shame because it said my job is trying to support some of those youngsters that are coming through, and it's just a shame that there's a highlight on the one and few. There's probably for every one person that they're identifying within the programme, there's probably 300-400 people that have turned their lives around and move on in a positive way.